This scene takes place somewhere that is not here, and in a time that has long since passed. This world is very similar to the one we know, but colder. The society they knew grew up without knowing other alien races. It did not have help from gods, or the experience to help them find their way. Their archaeological records show a much longer journey from their primitive past, when humanity evolved from their primates, to the future they had very slowly built. Everything in their world was somewhat different without the light of inspiration that many know now. Violence, slavery, and varied religions existed in the kingdoms of their world. The group we follow here has a daring plan.
Hello, thanks for coming. Let's head on inside and start discussing your new position and role in the company.
Thanks, I would be glad to. Not that I had much of a choice, but I am excited to be a part of the group, and I'm interested in hearing more about what you have planned.
And in other news today, the war along the southern border continues on with the Southern Coalition. In spite of the several cities our kingdom has nuked in recent years, the armies to the south keep up their attacks. Our king assures that we have even stronger measures planned for them to avenge our dead. On to your business news.
Workforce Capital Corporation announced the newest line of its products to ensure continued compliance from both the slave and lower-class working sectors. In their press statement, they announced that their new electronics had improved neural connections, decreasing likelihood of unwanted behavior, especially in poor, dangerous, or strenuous working conditions. This promises to increase productivity in slaves while reducing the amount of punishment and out-time needed to keep them on task.
Let's go downstairs to talk. It has been swept for all types of electronic surveillance. As you know, our company specializes in the life sciences as they relate to the extension and preservation of life. Our clients are generally eager to give large amounts of money, but in return they demand the absolute most bleeding edge that science has available. We start with medicine, custom-grown organ replacement and other life preservation methods. But these methods only work so long. There is a limit to how long we can reasonably extend meaningful life. This is where the digitized life comes into play.
By digitized life, you mean the technology where you turned our last dying king into a walking computer. Despite the minor debacle that had created, and the somewhat negative public relations have followed, I'm very excited to see such an innovative technology that allows life to continue beyond the grave, by digitizing memories and the essence of the mind. It does not seem like a computer with the memories of a deceased individual. It truly does seem like there's a soul in the digitized mind. It seems like the person now is truly still alive, but now just exists in a different form. If it were not so, there would have been no question at all about whether the last king should have voluntarily stepped out of power or not. If he seemed to be anything less than what he is now, there would have not been any debate. The lifelike demeanor truly led many to question what life is, and if he still could be considered to be alive and fit to be king. The process you have of digitizing life is truly amazing.
But somehow not amazing enough to keep the poor old king in power after the death of his biological body. People are not ready yet to follow a computer, no matter how impressive. The digitized life program does have some pretty major problems with it. Hormones, touching, feeling, eating, all are examples of things we miss. The many areas of the brain evolved over time, and like our hormones and genetics, are far more complex than just a simple biological CPU. We do not just follow the most logical choice, based on history or past influences. Every part of the brain processes information somewhat differently. Life choices and experiences wire each brain differently. The humanity that exists is far too complex to be adequately translated into a digitized form. We continue to make advancements, but something very new and different must be done to extend life further.
But in this project you are talking about, I do not see how I would fit in. I am not a geneticist, medical doctor, or adept at building advanced computers. I am a physicist. I work with the very small, and the forces that drive the very building blocks of matter. I see no reason why my work would be worthwhile to you, if you have so forcefully threatened me that I had no choice but to join your project. When having to choose, die or join you, I will happily choose to join. I do not fault you for this. I actually respect the resources and the skill your company has to pull this off. As promised, no one outside your company will ever have any idea what I have been working on. All of the data of my old employer has been completely destroyed, and you now have all of the research that I have been working on over the years. Now I hope one day to be rewarded by being digitized myself one day, hopefully far in the future. But I still wonder why you need my research so badly.
You know that we both are now in the business of extending life, yet as we walked in my house, past my media and control center, you do not question or think twice about the news. Our species has created near continual war since before recorded history. How many times has society almost been destroyed in the centuries since the nuclear age began? If not war, death comes with crime, violence between family members, from the order of the king, or even the occasional accident. As much as many claim to value life, it really only is the king and the rich that have lives worth a significant amount of money. We think nothing anymore of financial slavery or actual slavery. There was a time, if you remember, that many wanted to abolish slavery, as odd as that may sound now. But the problem was that whether through propaganda, the media, access to food and healthcare, or the many ways we complicate our laws, earnings reports, or falsify studies, freedom is only an illusion for most. It was far too easy to manipulate the lives of the public, to get them to do whatever the royalty, or captains of industry, wanted them to do. By letting slavery continue, the lives of the poor were not much worse than what they would have realistically been anyways, and the rest of us do not have to worry as much about filling the strenuous, dangerous, or other unwanted jobs like those in brothels.
Yes, I do see a pattern of behavior that does seem at odds with the concept of valuing and extending life. The problem is that the sex slaves in brothels are going to be there if there are enough customers. One person can decide not to go, but this will make little difference if more do not follow. That is something that is unlikely to happen. And it might just be luck that I was not born a slave. I could easily have known a very different fate rather than be a scientist. But getting back to the point, why am I here?
Yes, I am getting to that. If you look at genetics, physiology, and intellect, there really is nothing different between the clones, the purest slaves, and royalty. If anything, royalty is far more inbred than the general population, and more prone to unfavorable genetics. Yet all of our world, and our very lives are controlled by these madmen and women. You can be as peaceful and as morally just as you care to be, but this will not stop death from one of the many ways that you have no control over. The ones least likely to die in the wars the royalty cause are the royalty themselves. We are in the business of life extension, and these things do pose huge problems that we have to overcome. So to get back to your question, we need you, because we have a long-term need for security, and we believe that you are just the one person in the world that can succeed here.
I do see the need to ensure the security of your customers, but how does my knowledge of the very small help with this?
It is not enough to make this environment safer. That is risking everything, by placing trust in the madness that almost killed us all many times over, in wars no one can hide from. So now let me ask you something. How would you like to live forever? Not in the digitized form that you desire now, but with real flesh and blood, real feelings, hormones, and all the wonderful things that you enjoy as a human that would not be as fun in the digital format. With our help, your knowledge of the very small will ensure that we all have a way to escape this dangerous world, where the violent people of our world cannot find us. We believe we have a way to gain freedom and live indefinite lives.
Wow, I was sold at having a chance at being digitized, but if there is any chance to pull off something like what you have said, then I would forever be in your debt.
Let's go to the office, where the rest of the team can fill you in on the details. Remember, no one, not even the king or your wife, can know about this, under pain of death.
Trust me, I know if we let this out, the king would have all of our heads, and none of us would enjoy this chance we have to live forever. You have my unconditional support.
And now a word from our sponsors.
Have you had too many troubles with slaves with rebellious or negative attitudes? Our newest line of clones are bred to be both docile and compliant in your workforce or household needs. They are available in all levels of education from illiterate to college equivalent education. We also offer highest in industry payment for those who are interested in selling their full-term fetus to our best in industry slave growth and education program. Sometimes accidents do pay. And when you are ready to have a child to raise yourself, you can do so with the greater financial ability that few other 9-month jobs can offer. Workforce capital, meeting all your slave and clone needs, one person at a time.
Are you tired of having to meet random or arbitrary drug testing that others hire in your company do not have to do? Our line of digital drugs have a very similar high, yet leave no trace that can be found with the strictest tests. Compatible with all Class 5 and neural interface devices. Digital Relaxation International, pleasure without risk.
Here we are. Follow me in, and we will get your security clearance and fill you in with all of the details.
To be continued.